Now we'll see the governing mechanism of the turbine. And before to, okay, so speed is N is equals to 120 F divided by P, as already you might have learned in the synchronous machine. This is the formula for the synchronous speed, where F is the frequency and P is the number of poles. Implies speed of the generator and can be maintained at a constant level only when the speed of the turbine is constant. So as already we have seen, the turbine speed is depending on the water. In case of hydroelectric turbine, the injection of pressurized water. So it is nothing but a sort of fuel. So depending on the fuel, or depending on fuel means it is nothing but a sort of one type of energy. So potential energy, depending on that, the kinetic energy depends. So kinetic energy is getting converted into the mechanical energy. So depending on the fuel, or depending on the input to the turbine, the speed of the turbine, and depending on that, the speed of the rotor of the alternator. So when there is a increase in load, the speed tends to decrease and vice versa. You might have studied this particular relation in the machines. So whenever there is an increase in load, say this is increase in load, so at that point of time, the speed is going to decrease. And whenever there is a decrease in speed, decrease in load, speed will increase. I can add one more relation over here. Whenever there is an increase in load, the speed is going to decrease, as well as frequency is going to decrease. In reverse condition, whenever there is a decrease in load, speed is going to increase, as well the frequency is going to increase. Now, to have a constant frequency, it is very important that it needs us to rotate either turbine or the rotor of the alternator at a constant speed. So to have a constant speed, we have all this mechanism by which even under the increased load condition, we can maintain the frequency by increasing more amount of fuel into the turbine. Let's see how we can do that. So let's see different components in this mechanism. Now here we can able to see, say water is getting fed into the powerhouse or turbine with the help of reservoir. Then here we have the generator. Here we have a sort of runner. Then we can sense the shaft speed with the help of some mechanism. Then a servo motor is placed, which is once again connected to the speed governor. Then this is pressurized mechanism by which we can operate the valves which are working with a very high pressure. So whenever there is an increase in load, as already we have seen one equation, whenever load is going to increase, speed is going to decrease. So whenever there is a decrease in speed, it needs us to introduce more and more water or fuel towards the turbine, by which we can increase the speed, increase in terms of we can maintain the rated speed. And once we can able to maintain the rated speed, we can able to maintain the frequency of the generated energy or generated electrical power. So therefore, this mechanism will sense whenever there is an increase in load, so that will be sensed by a sensing mechanism. We'll not discuss that into much here. So whenever that part comes, we will discuss that into details. But right now, only thing we will see is whenever there is an increase in load, the speed will decrease. And to maintain the speed constant, what we will do is we will introduce more fuel from the reservoir through penstock towards the powerhouse or towards the turbine. So by which, when we are going to introduce more fuel, more energy or electrical power we can produce, and as it can serve the increased load, we can able to maintain the speed at a rated value, by which we can maintain the frequency as well to the rated value. See, as far as electrical system is concerned, these are really very important factors. Even this is most important for electrical power generation as well. Whenever there is increase in load, speed will decrease, and to maintain the speed constant, what we will do is we will introduce more fuel from the reservoir towards the turbine, by which it can generate more amount of power, by which that power can serve the increased amount of load. And because of this, the speed of the turbine, or say shaft of the rotor of the alternator, can be maintained constant, by which we can rotate the machine, that is alternator, at constant speed, and as a result of that, it will generate at the constant frequency. So this is how the overall mechanism work. Right now, whatever is important from our perspective, just we have seen that. We can go into much details of this whenever there is a requirement. So afterwards, whenever this point comes, we will discuss in detail. So this one case we have seen. Other cases when load is decreasing. So whenever there is a decrease in load, what will happen? It needs us to reduce the fuel intake into the turbine. So we have to control the fuel intake into the turbine, by which we can generate less amount of power. So whenever load is decreasing, speed will increase, because we haven't controlled the flow of the fuel, that is water, which is coming into the turbine. Because of that, speed will increase, and because of this, frequency is going to increase. Now to control this, what we have to do is, whenever there is a reduction in the load, it needs us to control the fuel intake into the turbine. When we are going to control the fuel intake into the turbine, the speed at which the machine is rotating, we can control that speed. No doubt, it needs us to always rotate the alternator at synchronous machine, but this we can do within the tolerable limits. So if we are able to control the speed at its near to rated value, we can able to control the frequency. The requirement of the electrical power system is the utility always needs to supply the power at constant voltage as well as the power at constant frequency. So most importance is given towards these two quantities in the power system. Even for the synchronization of electrical sort of generation with the grid system, first of all, we will check these two basic parameters. If they are matching with the system, or if they are matching with the sort of utility values within the tolerable limits, then and then only we can synchronize this with the electrical grid. If they are not matching, we cannot synchronize this with the electrical grid. So therefore, voltage and frequency are having much more importance in electrical power system. In power system control, there is one mechanism or the system which we can call it as a load frequency control. So this is also a sort of load frequency control. So whenever there is increase in load, with the help of fuel intake into the turbine, we can control the load, by which we can control the frequency. So ultimate impact of the load is onto the frequency. Therefore, though it is indirect impact, means when load is increasing, speed will decrease, and when speed is going to decrease, frequency will decrease. So when load is increasing, frequency will decrease, and when load is decreasing, frequency will increase. So this is what a sort of load frequency control. So by control, we cannot control the load because this is the demand of the consumer, or say this is the demand. And this is most unpredictable quantity in the world, because a demand or the load at a particular time we cannot predict, because we cannot know what people are doing, how they're utilizing the electricity, and how it is getting consumed. Only we can predict that what amount of power has been consumed in the load at a particular time period of the day. So depending on that, we can have that much amount of generation in the system. And even earlier we have seen the equality constraint as well as inequality constraint. So depending on all these parameters, or with the help of all these parameters, we can supply it, the power to the consumer from the generating station. So some theoretical aspect of governing mechanism, you can note down. The function of the governor is to regulate the quantity of water flowing through the runner in proportion to the load. Thus, the governing mechanism maintains the speed of the runner at a constant level at all the loads. So governing mechanism will maintain the speed of the runner at a constant level, by which we can maintain the frequency of the generated electricity constant. For a reaction turbine, the governor controls the guide vanes and wicket gates. For impulse turbine, the governor controls the spear and the nozzle. So with the help of different mechanism, we are going to control the turbine, by which we can control the electricity generated. So this is about a sort of closed loop system by which we can maintain the frequency constant. And due to this parameter, what we can have is, we can have a sort of synchronization in between powerhouse and electric utility grid. So different auxiliaries are being used in the hydropower plant. Those are governing oil systems, then lubricating oil pumps. So as we have seen, a lot of large mechanical systems involved in with the powerhouse. So lubricating oil pumps are required for a proper operation of mechanical parts. Might be there is an interruption within 1 minute, so please join based on what link I have provided once again. Then coolant oil pumps, drainage pumps, pipe, fan, ventilations, air compressors, cooling oil pumps for transformers, head gates, drain walls, gantry cranes, station batteries. Earlier we have seen this, and the instrumentation system. Now let's move towards the sizing of the system or the power plant layout. The major aspect to be considered for deciding the power plant layout, which consists the size of various units, means size of, say, turbine, size of casing of the turbine, then some sort of cranes, ventilation system, different systems, compressors. So all these needs to be considered before to finalize or to decide a layout for the plant. So these are what some points or the things which has been considered for to finalize the hydropower plant layout. So which consists size of various units, then size required for spiral casing, distance between various units, because in one power plant there might be the many more generators or generating units. So therefore it needs us to decide the distance in between the units, then width of the erection base, then position of the gantry cranes, position of the control room. So this is a sort of inside view of one of the power station. So here you can see these are what the generators. So this is, though this is one power plant or one powerhouse, many generators are there inside the powerhouse. There are different constraints to finalize the layout, as we have seen the constraint. Now this is all about the physical aspect of the hydroelectric power plant. Even many things are there which you can able to see, or if you Google it, you can see various pictures and inside views of hydropower plants. Many things are available on the internet. You can go through it. Yeah, if anyone is having question, please ask. Feel free to ask the questions. You can unmute your mic and you can ask the question. Otherwise, you can send it to through chat box. So today we have finished with the physical sort of components or major components of the hydroelectric power plant. So in the next lecture, we may discuss about some sort of numericals and remaining part of the theory of hydroelectric power plant. Is there any question? Feel free to ask, else we can conclude the session. Any question? Okay, might not have any question. We will conclude the session. Thank you very much for attending the online session for power plant engineering. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you once again.